No, you. Okay, cool. I don't know what happened, but whatever. Alright, we're back. Let's continue with the sleeves. So in this case, what I was trying to show you is that by default, MD is going to triangulate everything, but we can always grab smaller pieces, especially if they're doing something specific, like a pleat or a collar fold over situation. In those situations, I always do quad optimized. Don't do quad grid. Maybe with smaller fabrics, it's no big deal, but I do realize it chugs your machine and it crashes it a lot. So quad optimize, guys. That's the way to go. And it'll just help bring a lot more vertical folds, a lot cleaner. I would even go ahead and strengthen it. I like to strengthen things while I'm offsetting it quite a bit, because as you can see, it... Why is it really fighting itself? Huh. I'm wondering. I'm gonna lower it down to 5 just because it feels like there should be more detail, but it is clearly having a really hard time understanding what I'm trying to do. Ma vision. And I'm just gonna make it larger. Whoa, maybe that was too much. Well, actually, I mean, like, it's pretty long. She said elegance. Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe this is too much. Too much, too much, too much. Alright. But surely, that's nice. Okay, so now that I know that that's, you know, gonna work, I'm going to push it up back to 15. Just because we need to have this perform, and me seeing the official high-res wrinkles every time in a sim is not going to help me build this guy any better, so I'm going to lower it. Particle distance 5. Cancel. Ooh, did I almost... Oh! I almost deleted it all. Alright, and we're going to control D so that we get the guy from the other side for free. Simmer, go away. Alright. Cool, so now that we have our sleeves, I'm just gonna skip the bow because I think that will just do in our next one. I just want to have this guy blocked out. Okay, I've been really dragging my feet, as you can tell, but okay, let's just go for it. Let's just go for it. Okay, so let's address the underneath layer, right? So it looks like 2 petticoats, but in this one there's like a billion, and I want to do the billion. Okay, I do. So boom, we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petticoats. I like that vibe though. Okay, girl. Okay, queen. Alright, so let's do something nice and easy. Okay, I'm not trying to freaking die over ruffles. And again, a lot of people, they think, oh, let me start with just a huge piece of fabric. So, I'm sure that gets very overwhelming very quickly for a lot of you, so I'm going to show you an easier way, okay? So we're gonna make the tiniest little petticoat first, okay? We're gonna grab these 2 parts, and I'm using my M and N segment tool, and it's not that complicated. You just pick the part that needs to get sewn onto this long part. So once you've done that, you press enter. And then it knows how to connect those 2 together. Once you're done with that, press enter, and then boom, you get 2 separate sewing relationships sewn into one. So same thing with our other side. Enter, and then boom, enter. Period. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. All right, and then just for funsies, we're gonna just superimpose that to the side. Voila. Nothing better. Alright, and we're going to copy paste because lazy. And once again, we're going to do our M and N segment sewing tool. Grab the parts that we want to sew onto the big part. Enter. And one more time. Oh, sorry. Enter and enter. Boom. So it's like a two-parter, if you will. Once again, superimpose side. If you feel like you're navigating weird, right, like it doesn't know where the center is, you can just press 1 and it'll snap the camera back and it'll just behave normally. Sometimes that happens in Maya. Well, it happens in MD too, okay? I think it's just because we're doing so much and we're demanding so much. Alright, cool. So now we have this guy, right? And I'm not too worried about the offset. As you see, there's like some weird wrinkling stuff happening. But again, this is the layer underneath. So I'm not too picky with my skirt underneath, if that makes sense. Because I know that eventually we have to put in a bunch of wrinkles anyway. So, you know, it doesn't have to be exact, is what I'm saying. This one had to be a little bit more exact just because we want that nice cinched look, but the petticoat itself looks like it's going to be very voluminized very quickly. Cool. Alright, so now that we have that, we're going to just simply, just going to do one of these. Uniformly scale. Okay. Good. Alright, so where do these petticoats sit? Let's start from the lowest layer, right? So I still think it would be high up, right? Like around here. So let's do that. Slowly but surely. Guys, little by little. I don't want you to just, oh, the skirt needs to go down to the floor, so I'm gonna like just go, wah! You know? Like that is just asking for a mess, right? Like that huge piece of fabric needs to sim on top of your body. It doesn't fit. It's too small. It's too big. I'm gonna grab this because actually, I think I much prefer this guy to be symmetrical. So I'm gonna cut both sides, delete half of them, and we're gonna grab that segment line and we're gonna do unfold symmetrical editing with sewing. This is perfect for this situation. And I'm just going to sew it back so everything is pretty much more or less the same. We're going to deactivate these just because these guys are intersecting again. Alright. Oops. Alright, and as you can see, I did not sew our sides. The reason for that, or I did originally, right, but I prefer not to with skirts, is because the same reasoning with my shirt and stuff, I kind of, or sorry, my sleeves, I just need to see what it's doing, right? So clearly there is not enough fabric for them to touch, so I need to start tapering this guy out, right? And tapering this guy out. Why not? Right? And so clearly they're going to totally meet each other. So that problem, no longer. So let's continue with our goal, which is just lowering this bad boy down. Come on, girl. Alright, I think that's a cute length, right? It's giving mini, right? So now that we know this guy is totally going to touch, we're going to sew them closed, right? Mystery solved. We know that it's going to work. Okay, I think the main thing we are missing right now is the kind of volume. Like, what the heck? This is like, this is, what the hell? I want it to be big. Big and fluffy. But you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, maybe the skirt is not short enough. Alright, cool. So I notice it's kind of giving a little weird point, and that's due to the fact that this guy is not hitting a 90-degree angle. Again, in this scenario is one of those scenarios where I'm like, this is going to be hard to hit 90, so I'm just going to do my best and hit that 90-ish. As you can see, now everything is circular, right? It's not coming to a weird point anywhere. And we're starting to get that volume. And I'm not too picky with my volume right now, just because I know that once we add these little tiered ruffles, it's all good from there. So let's, without further ado, do so. All right, so this is going to be our base layer. And guys, I don't know, the ruffle thing, I've seen so many complicated builds, and I'm like, I'm so happy that works for you, but I mean, I feel so bad if we need to do corrections or anything, because the setup is so complex. So this is a way that I do tiered ruffles, and hopefully it's a lot simpler for you guys when you make these. So first things first is I'm gonna do create some internal lines per guy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6. So let's do number of offsets. Let's do 6. And distance? Hello? Okay, cool. I don't know why, but it's kind of weird. It doesn't look like there's an option to correct it, but if you click on it, it's there, guys. So don't be scared. All right, I'm gonna do 2 and see where we're at. I'm gonna do 4. Basically, I'm trying to space this guy out in a way that is about the length of our fabric here, with the chance of it being a little longer so that it has an offset. So I think maybe actually 3. No, I think 4. Okay, cool. Let's do 4. Alrighty. Next thing I'm going to do is we're gonna push this guy down. And we're gonna do a layer clone over, okay? And just like we did with the sleeves, we're just gonna remove linked editing so it removes it from our bottom layer here. And then we're going to make it, oh, this one actually is, well, let me see actually if they're symmetrical. I think they are. Not important for this case, because what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab everybody. Fine, I won't be lazy. Okay, I'm gonna cut it in half and do the same thing that I did with the layer below. I'm just gonna cut that guy. Just cause I'm lazy. Okay. And we're gonna do unfold symmetric pattern. Okay, cool. Alright, so whenever it's having a difficult time like this, like look at this, this is a mess, right? Wait, what's going on? Okay. What's that? Oh, no. No. This is not. No. Okay. This. With that? What happened? Oh, man. Okay. Delete. We're gonna remove the linked editing since we are done with pretty much that shape. And then we're gonna do a layer clone over. Okay. And we're just gonna remove the linked editing. And we're gonna go ahead and cut this guy. And cut this guy. Alright. So we're gonna delete this top layer. And then we're going to do a little sew right there, a little sew right there, and a little sew right there. Cool. And I'm just gonna grab everybody, all my internal lines, and pretty much do the same thing for every one of them. Okay. So we're gonna do a little cut. Okay. And let's separate these guys up a little bit so that I can work without being annoyed. It's all about the artists and their temperament, huh? We're always just tiptoeing around artists, aren't we?
How are you? Alive.
This is where I would just sew them back into their internal lines, right? Little by little. Right? We're gonna sew these guys back on. Yep, we're so back. We're so back. Yeah. Okay. Alright. One more time. Boop. And why am I doing this, right? Why did I just cut things, remove the sewing? What was the whole point of the layer clone? La 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 la. Okay. Well, the main point is I am really lazy when it comes to ruffles. I really do not want to do a lot of work for them, but I want to have the maximum amount of drama, right? And so what I figured is if I do this layer clone thing, what it does is it allows me to have a bunch of these sewing relationships, and you get to sit these guys right on top of the normals of the layer below, so you're kind of like killing like two birds with one stone, if you will. And I'm actually gonna go ahead, I forgot. I'm just gonna delete all of these side guys because they're sewn to the layer below. But in this case, I don't want that. I want them to be sewn to each other. Oh, interesting. Actually. All right, so actually what I should have done is made sure before anything that these guys are all lining up, which they are not. Oh my goodness. All right, cool. Not a problem, because what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna shimmy it. I'm just gonna shimmy these guys. Shimmy them. Shimmy them. And we're shimmying. We're shimmying. When you send them and they're close enough, MD's smart enough to understand what you're going for. Okay, dude. So they're like, all right, this guy, poor thing, he's trying to line these guys up. Let's try to help him out. Okay, so boom, we got these guys. They're looking so gorgeous now. And let me just make sure that these guys are all good to go. We're gonna do a layer clone over. So same thing that I'm doing, and once again, we're just going to delete the linked editing because we don't want to do the same thing that we're doing. And we're just gonna do a cut. Fail to cut patterns because intersection. Okay. When you have something like that, it means that these guys aren't quite at the edge, so you can just extend to pattern outline. And it should just snap these guys right to where the pattern edge is. Alright, so let's grab everybody. So, like, I was trying to go for the Backstreet Boys stuff, but it didn't quite work out. So we're gonna cut it. Delete that top part because that is not anything to do with anything. And let's just line these guys up. When I first started MD, I tried to make these ruffles like any normal person, right? Like you just offset and just pray that this is all going to line up correctly and just sew to the part that feels like it would make sense in reality. But what ends up happening is that there's so much fabric just bumping into each other that it becomes very overwhelming and really hard to control. So I started doing this layer method just because in a way it kind of gives me a nice little map to just brainlessly copy paste everything, and it'll all sit nice and pretty. Because when I used to just do it where the pattern is, you know, somewhere over here and I super impose it, sometimes it doesn't quite help, right? And then you just have huge pieces of fabric, like you're waiting for it to work itself out. It doesn't want to, of course, and then you're just kind of banging your head, hoping that it'll just work out, but it doesn't. This is a method for you. Alright, and we're just gonna Control J, and before anything, we're just gonna, actually, I don't even think, well, okay, let's just do superimpose over. Yeah, I don't know why, but the superimpose has been kind of giving me weird results lately, so whatever, I'm just gonna shimmy that guy out, basically just giving it the least amount of trouble. And so boom, now we have all of these guys lined up and they're ready to go. They are all separated from the bottom below, but attached to it on top. So what does that mean, Michelle? Well, it's a lot of things, okay? Now what we can do is we can start offsetting our pattern, right? So that there's a little bit of that nice, beautiful overlap that we are seeing. And we can extend this and extendo so that they just lay nice and pretty. Whoopsies, I forgot these aren't symmetrical. All right. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the layer below, the layer below, layer below. And basically this will allow us to have that nice overlap look without the pain of doing the math of, oh, does it sit? Is it gonna overlap? We know it's totally gonna overlap. It's just a little more like different, I guess, from like a natural train of thought, right? I don't think I would naturally do this. But I do feel like it's overall very easy to manage something like this, as opposed to miscellaneous squares that I have to rework from scratch every time someone gives me a note. Oops, I think it's sewn to the bottom here, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. All right, cool. So now we have that overlapping look, and then the most important part, in my opinion, is the vertical folds. So with things like this, I tend to try to only have the wrinkles happen. Actually, no. In things like this, once everything is settled in there, I am not too picky. Like, I'll just grab everybody. And I'll even strengthen it, because again, this is just a lot of pieces of fabric that I really just want to play nice with each other every time it sims. So I'm just gonna incrementally increase the size of this. And as you can see, we are starting to get that volume, and that's inevitable due to the fact that this is, small pieces of fabric bunching up together and creating this crazy volume. Okay, same thing with our cuffs above. We're going to quadrulate things, and then on top of that, we're just gonna sim that, and then we're just gonna lower this to 15. Give it a little bit more chance. Okay, and then we're gonna unstrengthen so that I can see what's going on. We are starting to definitely get some information. I think if we walk it down to 10, we'll start to really see some folds. Okay, but overall, I think we can do more, which is exciting. I love ruffles. I don't know if you guys can tell, but literally, don't tempt me with a good ruffle, man. All right, and a little bit more. More. Enhance. Okay, and we're just tugging on those areas. Again, this is like, I don't know, maybe some of you guys might consider this like kind of overkill, but to me, this is so nice. This is just fabulous, guys. Like, I could just, extend that guy mindlessly. And, this is all strengthened, so it's all going to, work itself out super fast. The sewing relationships aren't, complicated at all. So for me, this feels very manageable. I'm always going to unstrengthen at the very end, just so that I can see what these folds actually look like. Cool. And then let's walk it down to 10 again. Be mindful with jumping from 20 to 10, especially with a lot of fabric like this. If you grab all of those and ask to jump down, it might crash on you, just because it's a huge adjustment to empty, right? So be mindful. On that note, we're going to save, because do you want to do that again? The answer is, for me, no. So I'm going to save it. All right. And we're just going to grab this side, because I feel like we can still do a lot more. So we're just going to grab these guys. And since everything is on the form, or like it's built off of this skirt, everything's gonna lay in a way that just kind of makes sense, right? I don't think I would have ever chosen this shape for ruffles. I would just do rectangles. But I think this helps kind of just have it lay nice and flat against this the bottom skirt below. So that's also why I like having that base layer underneath, just because it kind of helps keep the integrity of the overall shape, which is really important in stylized specifically, just because um, you know, it really is just the shapes that are stylized in most cases, but the folds and stuff are still in real world physics, right? It's still like earth folds, if you will, human folds. All right, awesome. And with these guys, it's inevitable that I have to sim in increments and just kind of test it like this. But for the overall look of it, I think it's totally worth it. Like, cool. Like, I feel like we can totally ham it up, but for now, I think I'm pretty satisfied with that look, right? I'm like, right, guys? As if you're like right here next to me. Next thing that we have now is, or like the main thing, is this red dress, right? I've been really procrastinating, but here we go. Okay, so with this skirt, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build off of our skirt below and our top that we built so painstakingly. So, you know, again, guys, you know, a lot of this is really annoying during the time, but as you are working, it will be so nice to know that these guys are fitting on the body properly, so you don't need to worry or second guess what's going on. Is it gonna work? It's totally gonna work. All right, I just resimmed everything so that there's no weird intersection that we were seeing just now. Actually, I see some weird warping right there, so I'm going to actually deactivate. Do you see this kind of weird shape? So if I do it without, it'll go away and kind of keep that nice line right here, right? The seam line, we want it to keep very clean. Oh. All right, and then with this, I'm just gonna move some stuff. So when it comes to my MD scene, I always try to make the patterns in the hierarchy that it's in. So with my bottoms, they're gonna be below my top area, and then my layer clones are gonna be a little bit higher up. This is just so that visually I can find my stuff easily. Sometimes I'm, you know, before I would just have them anywhere because I'm just building. But then I'd be like, okay, where's my hat? Where's my hat? Right? So this is a nice kind of visual way of me keeping tabs. So again, we're just doing a brainless layer clone over. Boom. Okay. And then we're going to remove linked editing, and then we're going to add it back to each other. Okay. So now these guys all have these sewing relationships sewn to the layer below, which is great. I love that. Okay. Okay. And we're going to use our 3D to just sketch out what's happening. So it looks like it's probably like right here-ish where her top. Oh, oh, there we go. Is kind of just doing this like this shape. Okay. And then we're going to do one for the back. I believe the back is just higher up. Let me just see if I have another image. Yeah, so the back is going to be a little bit higher up. It's going to feel more like... give me a second. Okay, very good. Okay, very good. Okay, cool. So this guy is pretty high up, actually. Why is it going this way? But okay, whatever. It's fine. I just need the proximity, if you will. So cool. I'm just going to grab my internal line, and then we're going to outline this guy. Alright, and then same with this guy. We're just gonna outline that gray line that appears from our edit tool. And then once that's done, we're gonna go into our edit pen. Delete, delete, delete. Delete, delete, delete. And we're going to get out of that tool, and then we're just gonna shimmy this guy to line up a lot better. Okay, cool. I'm gonna extend, pattern outline, cool, awesome. Okay, so let me look at this shape, see if it's giving the vibes that I need it to give, and I really think this shape is pretty, but it just doesn't line up to that body. I feel like these straps are going to be nice and U-shape, right? Actually, now that I look at it, it kind of feels very close to her. Would it be like a halter situation? That is so cute. Are you kidding me? No, it just seems like very up and down. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Whatever. That's how you want to roll. That's fine with me. I'm just gonna push this guy in more because I do feel like the straps are a little thin. Cool, so I think that's fair. Okay, cool. And I'm just gonna make sure that this is extended to pattern outline. Alright. Grab this guy. Move it. That should be good. And we're gonna extend to pattern outline. Alright, let's look at the back. Okay, and I'm just lining up that strap so that it's not, same principle as everything else. I just want it to look very smooth, right? I don't want it to have weird nuances and pointy stuff. I just want it to be a nice circular curve that meets nice and straight on the side here and then does a nice U-shaped curve, right? There's no rhyme or reason to that. And then we're gonna cut. And this is how I usually just, you know, build out my stuff, is I usually start from a base top and then I just use internal lines to cut it out. Cool, and this way it just stays nice and taut against the body. I don't need to worry about it flying away or not fitting or making the body look bulky. A lot of it is just the hard work that we did below. And I could just go into my vents right here and just go ahead and sew them together. That way it doesn't look so like, you know, oh, but it did pull that guy a little bit. Sorry about that. Alright, so pretty much this base is pretty good. I just need to add this top layer here, this red dress, if you will. Something that I did notice, and I think I want to go ahead and delete these sewing relationships at the top and sew together, just so I can see what this top actually wants to do. Just because with that little cut, it really kind of flipped this guy up. So whenever things give me trouble like this, what I end up doing is I'll layer it on top, and basically what I'll do is I'll just trace the line. The reason for that is because I need this guy to sit pretty flat on the body, right? For this outfit to work, it can't just like flip up in this area, especially later when we have kind of the ruffling that's happening underneath here. We know that that's going to be bulky, and so if this guy isn't sewn down, it'll just kind of lift up even more and kind of make this area very bulky. So as a kind of like precaution, I'm just going to sew it down. That way it's just, you know, keeping with the forms, there's nothing weird going on. I'm going to strengthen the bottom so that it just keeps its stiff integrity. And that way it just feels nice and taut, right? When I'm rotating around, it's not just doing like a weird flippy thingy. I'm gonna go ahead and delete these sewing whoa. I wonder why. Oh, oops. I see. Oopsies. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this. And we're gonna sew this guy onto itself. Sorry, I think I deleted that bottom layer by accident. That way there's not like a weird compression in the back. It'll just lay nice and flat. I know these seams kind of look like indentations, but actually when you bring it into Maya or ZBrush, it'll look very flat. So these are very deceitful. I wouldn't rely on these guys because, yeah, when you bring them in, unless you have like a layer clone over, those seams will not be shown. But I'll show you tips and tricks on how to get a little bit more of that form. Okay. So now that we have all of this, something that I also noticed is, do you see that like lift off here? In that right there? That's letting me know that this space here is a little high. And so I'm just gonna get rid of that fabric so it stays nice and taut. Alright, no more flipping up, it stays nice and compressed on that body. Cool. So the back is pretty much set. And so is the front. I'm gonna save it because I don't want to do that again. Most of the time I'm gonna save it because most of the time I'm not gonna want to do it again. And then, once again, we're gonna do a layer clone. But I'm gonna make sure that this guy's on top of the ruffles. I know right now it looks like it's underneath all of it, but that makes sense because it's a layer clone of that guy on the bottom. I'm gonna relink it to itself. And in this case, I do not need these guys, so I'm just gonna go ahead and delete them. Alright. And nothing too fancy here. I'm just gonna grab these guys and push them out. Alright. And we're gonna make sure that they're not sewn on the layer below or at the bottom here. It's gonna give you a sewing relationship for every single side it's on, so just be aware of that. But I'm gonna keep the sewing relationship right here because that's good to me. Alright, you know what, before I do that, I'm gonna do a strengthen. Just so that it could work itself out a lot faster. Alright, so clearly it's folding upwards. So I think this is a common issue that people have trouble troubleshooting. But when your skirt is lifting up or your pants want to just like lift up or anything kind of moves and scrunches somewhere, let's just try to start understanding how fabric behaves, right? So fabric is always going to move where there's the least amount of tension. It doesn't like being stretched or anything, right? So whenever you see it scrunching up, it's just trying to find a place where it's not stretching and it could just settle somewhere, right? So this is an indicator to me that this is, you know, rightfully so, a little small, right? And that makes sense because all of these little petticoats underneath. So first things first is let's just make this guy a little wider. All right, and already you see it like kind of wanting to go down a little bit. And no, it's because I just wanted the bottom side. So I'm just gonna eyeball it. I'm just gonna make sure that the lengths of these guys are around the same. And voila, we're starting to get that nice settling down, right? This looks like it might be either the box pleats, so let's show you. The box pleat that goes like this, right? It looks like a looser form of that. Or it could be just a slash and spread situ. Because as you can see, there's no real pleat that's going all the way up there. It just looks like almost like a warble of fabric, but it's all like one piece, right? So that's letting me know most likely this is going to be a slash and spread situ. Okay, so now that we know that, I'm just gonna grab everyone over here and here. Cool, and we're just gonna pull these guys upwards. It kind of sinks down, but we actually want it to be a little bit higher up. We can see the petticoat pretty clearly underneath. So let's just go conservative, right? Let's just do something where we just see two of them. All right, looks good to me. All right, oops. Yeah, okay, cool. They're uniform, so that helps out. And we're just gonna round this guy up. Oops. Round it out. And we're just gonna grab this guy as well. It's the same issue as our A-line skirt underneath. We just need to hit very close to a rounded situation on those corners so that it doesn't come to like a weird point as we were seeing, like a triangle. Okay. And just tugging on it to help it out. And we're just checking it out to see if that's looking okay. It looks very like, I think we can afford these guys to be a little taller up. Because basically I don't like this shape when we have this kind of curve. So I want this guy to kind of mimic that curve that we're seeing on the skirts below. Okay, fair. That's okay. We're just gonna grab these guys. Do that. Alright. 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 Cool. So let's try to see if a slash and spread situation will help this look. So it looks like they like having that center fold. So let's start from the middle, right here. And so this tool is a little annoying at times because it's hard to kind of use it. But basically you put the arrow down to the end of the pattern. And then you can choose which side you want to open up. So I'm just going to open up this side. And let's just go right there. Okay. And see what that gives us. Cool. So it's giving us our sides, which is okay. Let's see if we just keep on going. And I'm going to kind of space them out evenly because these guys look pretty evenly dispersed. So it looks like about 3-ish are in the front profile. So let's go for that. And I'm just going to try to drag and open. I do think this is going to give us the look. So let's just keep on going. Okay. Let's just trust the process because right now I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. But let's just trust it and see where we're at. Okay, let's see it without the strengthen and see what the shapes are looking like. Okay, so we definitely have, I think this is going to be the look that we are trying to achieve. But I do think this guy is probably going to be best looking at strengthen, when it's strengthened. Okay. I'm going to try my very best to get this guy to have this, to have a look. Yeah, this tool, sometimes for me, oh, maybe I could go a little bit harder and see what that gives me. Okay, we're just going to move it around so that it's like, I'm trying to help out MD. I know it's a strong program, it can handle this, but you know, sometimes I like to assist it a little bit. Okay, so, okay, so that's what I need to do. I'm gonna walk this back and hopefully it doesn't crash on me. But basically the slash and spread is the way to go. It's just that I was being a little too conservative. Okay, so I'm gonna go really heavy. I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna go for like 52, it said. Okay, cool. If you can't tell, the slash and spread tool for me is still a little mystical. Just because I get the concept, but then once I have it in like one slash and spread and I'm trying to stack multiple, starts to kind of get into mystery land for me. But I don't mind the ride. Alright, and then let's just grab this guy on this corner and then like really go for it. I'm across the ladder. Yeah. Let's see if I can help this shape by going like that. Yeah, there we go. All right, awesome. Cool. So that's definitely giving us the volume also. So that's like 2 for 1. See, we are really starting to see it. So I guess the exaggeration was the move. Right, and we're just gonna evenly fluff this guy out so that we are seeing the up and downs nice and even. Let's see if I could just make this even prouder. Okay, cool. I think that's the general shape. It's not like lovely, but I think through some trial and error, I can definitely nail that look that we so badly want. So let's unstrengthen it and see where we're at. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is what I'm seeing, right? This kind of stuff is what I'm trying to aim for. It's just that I think I have to fluff these guys so that they know that it's supposed to be nice and even and large rather than clumped up into one corner. Okay, cool. Awesome, awesome. That looks good. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Looks good. Okay. Last but not least, I'm just gonna make sure that we're hitting 90-degree angles as best as I can. I know this looks ridiculous, but I think we have what it takes now to make the guy match concept. All right, cool. Let me just straighten these guys out. Awesome. Okay, nice. Oh, I see. Lots of fabric here. I'm just gonna spread it. Just kind of dress it up nicely, right? I think it's such a shame when I see students, they have a really great pattern, and I know it's supposed to work real nice, but I know, like, you're at the point where you're sick and tired of looking at this sim and nothing's working and everything's crashing, and you're at the point where where you're like, I just need this guy to be done with so I can move on with my life. So this is good. Like, I think in strengthen, it's more prominent. These folds, oops. These folds are a lot more prominent. I'm gonna walk it down because I kind of like this. And it simplifies like some of the shapes, right? Because it really is just uniformly this, right? There is some little bits, but I think that is reflected in this strengthen mode rather than unstrengthened. Okay, and let's see if unstrengthened. All right, nothing really changes. So let's do strengthen and see if these guys are gonna kind of fluff up because we want them to be fluffy, right? Like we want it to make sense that this guy is also, you know, the reason why this top dress is so voluminous. So I actually think, let me look at it. I think this is an okay base, but there is some stuff that I do want to tackle for our next session, which is the skirt underneath. I feel like we are missing that element of it following the skirt, right? We want it to feel like it's homogeneous with that top layer, and it's the cause of this top layer looking the way it does, right? So I almost feel like we should do this guy as our base layer. Put the ruffles on top of this, and then put another layer on top. You know what I'm saying? You'll know next time. But yeah, for now, let's see. Let's let's also dress it up so that as pretty, right? Because, sometimes I will say, like, you would think, like, none of this really matters, la la la, because, this is just an MD, but you'd be surprised. Like, a lot of clients, they really appreciate the extra mile for displaying it nicely. They do appreciate that, so take that for what that is. But I think it is a very simple step that we can all have time to do, right? Assigning things fabric is not hard, so we should do it. All right, let's do assign new one. And again, this is just the same stuff. I'm just, oh, wait, hold on. Uh, 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 okay. Okay. Alright. And base. Let's make our base like a lighter. Yeah. Again, I just want to avoid the white. But yeah, that is our base layer. I mean, our base block-in. Right? I just need to, at this stage, get everybody in there, all the parts. I guess I forgot the gloves and the stockings. Oh my gosh, I have to do it. Are you kidding me? These are so cute. Okay, so for next session, I'll do those. I honestly think I would probably have to do it on another file because this guy is already, I can tell, getting very heavy. And we're gonna add the bows and then like add more layers in this thing or volume in this thing. So basically more fabric. So I feel like gloves and socks, if they don't interact with the rest of your costume, in my case, they are very soloed out. I rather do those guys in another file so that it doesn't chug my entire file because they're so tiny, they have to be in a low subdivision. Or sorry, a high subdivision, low particle distance, and therefore it chugs my machine. But yeah, this is my base so far. I hope you like this. Oh, I forgot the hat too, so I'll do the hat in the other file too. But yeah, this is what I got, guys, for this session. Hopefully you've enjoyed that and maybe learned a little something, or maybe you did it and you're just like excited to see the outfits come to life, which mood, that's why I would be watching. I am not trying to learn, girl. I'm just trying to vibe. All good. I'll see you guys next time, and yeah, bye.